Hey there, Jay Michael here, and I'm excited, y'all, because it's not often that, when your personal musical favorites, you get an opportunity to just kind of talk to. Because when I go back to his 1998 CD, Wonderland, I mean, Darwin, I'm gonna tell you, all of my favorites, Every Day,
Wow.
Worship You Today, Nobody Like Jesus that you did with
Shirley
Shirley,
Murdoch.
so amazing. Oh my God. Like when that came out, I was just like, ah.
Oh
And
my
of course,
God,
you're
man.
back with another single after 10 years. Man, we've missed you for 10 years.
Thank you, bro. I'm so grateful to be talking to you. I've been like a kid in a candy store talking to people because it's been so long. I mean, I've still been singing, but been
Yeah.
long since I recorded music. And so, man, I just feel so excited and grateful again that I'm talking and that, especially to you, the people that really know where I started, like you naming songs today that I'm like, oh my God. Like, I mean, I didn't even know anybody today even knew about those songs.
Man. Well, I mean, I think for us that grew up with you, and I mean, from 1998, when you had your first, national release,
Yes.
literally it was something different that you brought to gospel music. Your voice was very, very different, the texture of it. And I
Yes.
just believe that at that point, it was kind of the beginning of praise and worship when we were starting to see praise and worship enter into the radio landfill. And you were one of the first to actually usher us in. And I'll never forget that. I'll never forget.
Man, and I'm grateful for all those times. I just believe I asked God years ago to give me longevity and to allow me to do what I do for a long time. And as long as I chose to do it, if I would have the ear of the listener. And
Yeah.
so that's what makes me so grateful nowadays. Like I just stated, that I would still be having a voice, no pun intended, not singing voice, but just
Yeah.
a voice so that people wouldn't just hear and attach themselves to the music. But, on the kind of music I do,
Mhm.
I want to impact people's lives.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, I have to say this first of all. I want to go back. How's the family? COVID-19 has been really crazy. How is everybody doing? Healthy, safe?
everybody's great. Just, kind of taking a
Yeah.
deep breath. You know
Woosah.
what I'm saying? Just doing like everybody else, trying to stay safe,
Yeah.
wearing our mask,
Yeah.
doing due diligence to make sure we're safe. It's challenging too, because I mean, what I do, a lot of times involves people. So then,
Yeah.
you can't be around people. So
Yeah.
it's challenging,
And the hard
but
part for people like you is when they see you in the grocery store, the first thing that they want to do is hug. you know.
or even like at church
Mhm.
or what have you. It's like it's just such a challenging
Yeah.
thing for me because I love people. So I want
Yes,
to
you do.
connect. I want to touch and hug and
Yeah.
kiss people on the cheek and all that, but
Yeah.
not right now. But God's a sustainer. So he's
Yeah.
sustaining all of us through it.
Well, the one thing that I love about it is that we may not be able to touch you physically, but we can connect with you and show you that we love you by the purchase and downloading of your music. And that
Yes.
shows, and that's that knock on the door that says, hey, people are still there. We still love you. Your music is still relevant.
Yes.
And you gave us that opportunity this year with a brand new single, a forthcoming CD.
Yes.
You got to tell me, after 10 years, why come back? Because you could have continued to do what you've been doing for 10 years.
Well, now this is going to sound deep, but it ain't.
Come on.
I felt like God just had need of me,
Yeah.
to do this again. I asked God, look, am I supposed to record again? Because I've not stopped singing. I've never stopped singing. I still lead worship,
Right. Right.
Um, and but I needed to know if it was meant for me to still record. There's two
Yeah.
different things. And
Yeah.
so I got the answer, or obviously we wouldn't be talking about this
Right.
music. But I also, for 6 of those years, I mean, we became parents, like my
Yeah.
wife and I, after 20 years of no kids. Tracy got pregnant at 45. So here we received this
A
miracle from
miracle.
God, Bethany,
Mhm.
who's
Yeah.
now 6 years old. So we're 52. One miracle is Bethany. The next miracle is that we're 52 with a 6-year-old. So that's the second miracle.
That's
But
God.
I mean, we needed to take time off. I needed to take time off to
Yeah.
really embrace this miracle and be responsible with it, because I didn't want to just be running around trying to be active and too busy. And then here I got
Right.
brand new daddy at this late in life, So part of it was doing that, just kind of acclimating myself to becoming a parent. And then
Mhm.
I just needed to know that God wanted me to still record. I mean, I didn't want to just do it just to do
Yeah.
music. I mean, I guess I
Yeah.
could, but I'm like, look, Lord, the kind of music I do, I need the ear of the listener. And so
Yeah.
I feel like just this releasing this single, Get Ready, it has been the most encouraging thing on earth for me because people have embraced it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if they had not embraced it, to me, I'd be kind of wasting my time because I'm
That's right.
saying that I'm recording this music, yes, unto the Lord, but if people need to embrace it,
That's
or
right.
it's not a good thing to do, even business-wise, even practically. What are you
Exactly.
recording for if people are not embracing what you do?
That's right.
So I'm glad to be back.
Well, we're glad to have you back. I'm excited. I think the message, get ready, new administration, a new year. We're looking at new horizons, getting coronavirus behind us. Get ready.
Yes.
I think it's a great message for us to prepare us for what God is doing. We got to get
Oh
ready.
my goodness. And I chose that song because of what you just said, because we were going to do like a live recording, well, I'm going to do later in the spring now.
Yeah.
The album is called Set List, and I'll tell you in a
Ah,
second why I call it that. But
please
I
do.
chose Get Ready as a single because the message to me is so timely.
Yeah,
Um, we living in crazy times.
we are.
And so I feel that just even to quote the lyrics, I'm expecting a move from God. I'm
Yeah.
releasing faith for a move of God, and that's my favorite line, releasing faith,
Yeah.
because it's one thing to have faith, but it's
Mhm.
another thing to release your faith and extend your faith. And so I felt like the song is timely. I felt like, and I think other people, thank God, have embraced it as such. It's very upbeat, of course, and
Yeah.
so I call it groove and worship. You can dance and worship.
Yeah.
And so I'm so excited about it, man. So thanks.
And I think in recent history, a lot of your music has been a little slow. Now, when I go back to the beginning, you had groovy music just like this one. That this is nothing new to us that's been following you since the beginning, but it's really good to see you come out with a brand new CD 10 years later and bring us something fresh, something new, something exciting, something to drive down the street, something to go work out with. That's
Yes.
to remind us of God's word.
Yeah. Oh, listen. And that was another challenge because I started to pick another song because I was like, we want to, let me just pick
Ah,
a worshipful moment. And I
yeah,
was like, no,
this is
this song is great because the message is timely. It's upbeat because people, to me, we just need to be encouraged,
yes, we
you
do.
know.
Yes.
And sometimes, even though the message is intact, sometimes slower music, it can just put you in this reflective
Yeah.
space. And sometimes, most times, if it's worship, that's great. But
Yeah.
still, I just feel like the up tempo and the upbeat of it
Hmm.
just comes alongside the message. It's very encouraging. And like you said, people, I don't care if you're on a treadmill, if you're in the car, whatever, it just is a very motivational type,
Yeah.
even aesthetically, the way the music is.
Yeah.
So I saw another reason and I'm glad you said what you just said, because I was teeter-tottering like,
Mhm.
maybe I should pick one of these slower songs,
Yeah.
but we ended up with Get Ready. So I'm glad you said that.
I think it's the best start to the new year. I think it's
Mm,
perfect, just perfect.
thank
Now you got
God.
to tell me set lists, because when I think about set lists, I think about a live recording. I think about, looking at that sheet of paper and okay, this is the set list. This is what they're going to do today. So tell me, why did you choose set lists?
Well, you're on the money because now I lead worship. That's what I do.
Yeah.
That's my lane. And so one of the biggest challenges I have during the week is creating a set list.
Gotcha.
And let me tell you, there's a lot of music out here, as you very
Okay.
well know, but not all of it is palatable or even what I would say user friendly for what I do. And
Yeah.
so it's hard to pick songs. I'm like, what am I going to sing this week? And I'm not a big writer. I like to use songs that other people have written.
Yeah.
And so I just said, Lord, I'm going to record 10 to 12 songs that I can plug into my set list, that I can give as a resource to other worship leaders. They can plug it into their set list because I just felt like that's missing.
Yeah. It is.
Nothing against what anybody else is doing. And then also, I wanted songs that would work in the setting that I find myself in, which is predominantly African-American churches. And
Right.
a lot of the music now, stylistically, it has, gone in a direction that is kind of off from urban contemporary
Yeah.
gospel.
Yeah.
That's what I do. That's what I hit a home run with. So I said, when I record again, that's the kind of music I want to record. And it's been also rewarding and refreshing to have a lot of people, even in radio, tell me like, thank you for recording gospel again. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
because so much of the style is just becoming, it's trendy and it's great because I love
Yeah.
CCM. I love all of it.
Right.
That's how I got my start is with CCM.
Yeah.
Um, but, you know, for me, what I'm called to record and what I do best is urban
Mhm.
contemporary gospel. So that's
Yeah.
what this is.
Well, I mean, I
And
think,
set list will be more of that.
I'm excited about it because I think if there's anything that we learned during COVID-19, I think artists had an opportunity to be in an incubator.
Yes.
And for a year, or so, an incubator to really spend time with themselves, spend time with the Lord, and figure out who they are, what God wanted to use them for, and to really
Yes.
give the people what was needed at that point. So I just think that, Get Ready just kind of hones in right in with where people are. Because I think we're emerging now, we're coming out of our hibernation areas.
Yes.
We're seeking, we're looking for something new. We're excited with the new inauguration of our new president. I
Yes,
think
Lord.
everybody is getting ready. Everybody's excited. And this kind of goes with that tone that we're all in. So I'm
Absolutely.
excited. So you got to tell me the tone of the rest of the CD, what songs are, all of them are your babies.
Well, 10 to 12 of them. And again, it's set list. I really do mean it when I say it's a resource for worship leaders.
Good.
These are songs that are going to work every time. And I think that people really know we use something called planning center. If you're a worship leader, then you plug your songs in whatever you're doing that week. And everybody who's operating that Sunday, they go into your planning center. So these are songs I want people can plug 1 through 10. They can put them in planning center.
That's good. That's
And
good.
they'll work. I mean, and again, I mean, I got a couple of cover songs that I'm doing that people will be extremely familiar with, but a lot of them are new songs. And I kind of did like a little campaign on my social media and told people I were looking for songs.
Oh,
And a lot
cool.
of people came and wrote great songs.
Good.
Some of them I couldn't use for this
Yeah.
one, but we're going to do set list volume 1, 2, and 3.
I love it. Yes.
But at the end of it, people have 3 different set lists that they can just choose from. And not to say I'm the only one recording music like that, but it's just not readily available, in my opinion. As a
Yeah.
worship leader, it's not readily available. It's not easy for me to say, oh, even when I listen to new projects of some of my peers, which the music is amazing.
Yeah.
But it's not always music that I could just say, I'm going to teach that next week. I'm going to teach that song.
But that's good because a lot of times you have to have a certain type of equipment or a certain type of singer, a certain type of ambiance for some of those songs. And the everyday layperson in some of the smaller churches just can't do some of the more elaborate
They
songs.
can't replicate it.
Yeah.
So even Get Ready is a little more, even like musician wise, it can be a little advanced, as far as, so I don't want people to be intimidated by that. Cause let me tell you, on set list, we got songs that are way more accessible even than Get Ready.
That's
Okay.
good.
What you said is just so good because if I want people to replicate this sound, and if I'm calling myself giving people a resource to use, I don't need to make it where they can't reach it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
everybody is not, in churches where, with singers, you don't have a bunch of Melanie Daniels and
No.
Donald Lawrence and company and Kurt Carr singers. Sometimes some of the volunteers we work with, they're not at that level of skill. They can't execute those songs, or
Right.
even if they could execute it, sometimes we give them stuff that's so out of reach, it's intimidating.
Yes.
So then they won't do it.
Right.
Okay, well, on the practical sense, they don't do your music, which means it doesn't become popular, which means 9 times out of 10, their pastor's not going to let them invite you in to do it because they ain't doing it, so nobody knows it. So then even on the practical side, if it doesn't even make good business sense to release music that people aren't going to replicate.
Yeah. That's good. Set list. I love it. When should we expect set list?
In the fall.
Okay.
In the fall of 2021. Now, unless I wanted to have a live recording because that's why I was going to have it in last April when we canceled because of COVID. So now I'm saying I'm going to do it later this spring, but I don't think we're going to be able to have a big old group of people because COVID is not relenting.
No.
But I've determined that I don't care if I got to record the album with just me and the singers, the band, in an empty room. Set list is coming in the fall.
Amen. I'm excited about that.
I hope we get to have some level of crowd there, audience, but if not, we just got to go with it.
Well, tell me this, because I've seen you work in ministries. I've seen you take minister of musics and musicians under your wing and pour into their lives and encourage them and help them see their place in this big thing called the church.
Yes.
Um, are you doing any virtual teachings? Are you doing any virtual moments where you're pouring into people if they need it? Churches that say, you know what, we are in a position where all of the choir members are doing a virtual uh, rehearsal, and they
Yes.
invite you in. Is that something that you're offering as well? Because you have so much to give.
Absolutely. Thank you. And absolutely, I haven't done a lot of that yet.
Okay.
I've done more of that in person, but obviously before COVID.
Right.
But now, even with Hard Art, that's one of my goals with Hard Art is to build a community and establish a community for people. Hard Art, the name of my label, Hard Art Worship, it comes from my idea that those of us who do what I do,
Mm-hmm.
we need to be about the business of perfecting both the art
Yeah.
and the heart of what we do, not just having a bunch of skill with no presence,
That's
a bunch
good.
of presence with no skill, because that's just a distraction.
That's it. That's it.
So I've been encouraging people, hey, it's okay. You can have performance, but you
Yeah.
got to have presence connected to it. Now, that's if you're calling yourself a worship leader or calling yourself somebody that wants to engage on a spiritual sense. You can't just have a bunch of skill and there's no presence connected to what you're doing. So I encourage people to be people of presence, and through Heart Art and some of the community that I plan to establish, I'm going to come alongside some people and just kind of walk with people. I don't know everything at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
Okay. But I do more learning than I do teaching in most instances, but some things I do know because I
Yeah.
just been doing it for so many years, been walking with Jesus a long time. And
Amen.
I've got some ideas that I think have caused me to be successful at leading worship and impacting the lives of others.
Yeah.
And so, I plan on doing some more of that. Yes. And if it doesn't happen before COVID has cleared its way, then yes, virtually, but I don't want it to just become like a cattle call. I hope
Yeah.
that really it
Yeah.
can be a community. So I don't want to offer it to too many people at first. Because then
Gotcha.
to me, it's just that ends up being just a conference where people just come, they pay
Right.
their money, they sit and hear some bunches their favorite artists sing, and then
Right.
they go home. I'm not
Yeah.
interested in that. I
Yeah.
really would hope that I could establish some community, and you can't establish that kind of community when you got too many people connected.
Right. That's right.
I'd rather do it in stages where I connect with a few
Yeah.
for a season, and then the next season I connect with another few.
That's good.
When that's all over, then you do have a really big community. Then I can delegate and be like, hey, this person has adapted to these ideas that I think are godly ideas.
Yeah.
Now you go and train that one, then you go and train that. You know
That's
what I'm
good.
saying?
That's good. Wow. Darwin Hobbs, ladies and gentlemen, we're hanging out with, and I really
Mm-hmm.
love your heart.
Thank
When you
you.
talked about Heart Art Worship, it just brought something to light, something that's really, really in your heart is connecting with people and
Yes.
connecting people to worship.
Yes.
And not just, connecting people to music, but connecting
Ooh.
people to worship.
Hold up. Now now you're meddling. Now you're getting in my lane. When you start talking what you just, very few people say, but why'd you say what you just said?
No, it's
About
real.
you disconnected music from worship. So why'd you do that? Because that's my language there.
I mean, it's real because sometimes it just becomes entertainment to people. Sometimes it just becomes something where I want you to dazzle me and do all of these riffs and runs and all that. And we're sitting back and we're clapping at the work of it all, but
Ooh.
we're losing the worship or the fellowship or the connectivity that worship gives us to God. I appreciate, Heart Art Worship because you're connecting people to worship, bringing us to the Father. And the music, it's going to be a sweet sound. You've always given us a sweet sound. You've always advocated for music ministries to have a sweet sound. But at the end of the day, it's worship.
Let me tell you something, dude. I know we're on a Zoom call, but I'm about to flip this computer over onto the floor if you keep talking.
Real though, it's real.
It's so good what you're saying, because, and and sometimes I feel awkward to say it because I feel like some people, they talk that kind of talk, but when it comes down to it, they get nervous about it. I'm like,
Yeah.
come on, worship, let me say, music
Mhm.
has very little to do with the crux of worship. Worship really is about our relating to the Father. My
Yeah.
definition of worship, a worshiper is someone who's intimately acquainted with God and has daily relationship with Him.
Hmm.
Okay, my
Hmm.
wife Tracy is what the most substantial worshiper I know, and she doesn't sing at all. She don't have nothing to do with music.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
but her worship is intact.
yeah,
Okay, now she will come alongside some of these songs on set lists and she'll use those as the soundtrack to her worship. But
yeah,
her worship has way more to do with her relationship with the Lord than it does any music.
yeah,
Again, that's why I call myself. Now I know I'm gonna make some people mad. I get it when I don't, because I does every time I say I'm a worship leader, it's
yeah,
something that goes through me because I'm like, hold up. If worship is all about our relationship,
yeah,
let's say you're in the audience and I'm saying, Jay, like here I am, your worship leader. How can I lead your worship if it's all about your vertical connection with Jesus?
yeah,
I
yeah,
can lead you in songs,
yeah,
but I can't really lead your worship. But I get it because for our dispensation of time we live in, you got to have a term that people can wrap their brains around. So I get it, okay? Because music definitely is a part of worship, and you can worship the Lord using music. I get it. So I get that term and I use it because I don't want to be the oddball.
right,
But
right.
at the same time,
Hmm.
I believe we got to press past. This is talking to worship leaders now.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
We need to press past the pressure of leading anybody's worship but our own. My worship for me really is my relationship with God. Okay,
Mhm.
so nobody can lead that for me but
No.
me.
Hmm.
Okay, because I got to avail myself to that, and I have to be disciplined to that, and I have to do, my relationship with my wife Tracy, almost 30 years.
Yeah,
There's some commitment and some intention that's required out of me to
absolutely.
in order to make that work after all these
Yes,
years. So it's the
yes.
same thing with our relationship with God. So I can't stand up and lead people in songs and then I call myself leading their worship. Are you serious? That's too much pressure. I can't. I'm not responsible for your connection with God.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know but I get it. So
Mhm.
I go along with it, but I love conversations like this. I'm going on a bunny trail because you tapped into something for me right there. So
I think your music, and I'm excited about set list because, even from, get ready, it is conducive to setting the atmosphere
hmm,
for worship, for me to commune, to connect,
yes,
to see what God is doing in this moment. Sometimes God has to use a song. Sometimes people won't hear a sermon, but they'll hear a song,
that's
you
right,
and so sometimes these songs get our attention, and sometimes they marry with moments in our lives,
yes,
moments in
yes,
time. And so I think, get ready is setting the atmosphere to help people position their hearts for what God is about to do. Get ready, prepare your heart, prepare your mind,
absolutely,
prepare your
absolutely,
spirit, and I'm
absolutely. That's
excited
why
about.
I chose Get Ready, because of what you're saying, because of the time that we're living in right now, and I'm talking about even with current events and what's happening socially around us. I hope that this song will encourage people to not, you know, grow weary,
Yeah,
and because we live right now in unprecedented and
yeah,
very crazy times. Even having a new president,
absolutely.
there's so much work even for him to do and for that administration to do, and there's so much still for all of us to walk through
That's right.
with that administration, even socially,
Yeah,
because there's a lot of damage over the last 4 years that some of us have experienced, and so there now has to be fixed.
yeah,
And so it's, again, my favorite line of the song: I
yeah.
release my faith for a move of God. Because it's so easy to walk around talking about how much faith you have,
We
but you
believe.
have to release the faith,
Hmm.
and exercise your faith and execute your faith, and
Yeah,
so that right there, and like you said, it will act as a catalyst for people to position themselves to be in a position to really, hey, I expect the move from God. I always say, where there's expectation, there's anticipation, and where there's anticipation
mhm,
mixed with faith, then you can have the miraculous. So I say, I expect the move from God, anticipating a move from God. I release
yeah,
my faith
yeah,
to get a move from God, or I anticipate a miracle, released my faith for a miracle and deliverance and healing. The song talks about all of that. And
yeah.
so I think that, like you're saying, it really can't, if people will just embrace and just commit to expectation and anticipation,
Mm.
then we can get the real time miracle that we're waiting on.
I'm glad you said that because Bethany, a miracle. And when you talk about releasing,
Mm.
A lot of times we walk around and we want to be full. Back in the day, we had a term, she's just full, and so, they full, but it's not until you're empty that God can fill you up. It's not
Mm.
until you're broken until God can, really fix you and mend you.
Ooh.
And there was a point in time, I never forget, when you and your wife were praying, you went on Facebook and Instagram. I never forget it.
Yes.
And you asked for prayer. You asked for people to believe and stand with you. And we saw you at a moment where you needed to be filled, and the people of God prayed over you and your wife and covered
Yes.
you and your wife. And now you're seeing the fulfillment of the miracles, but you were empty at that point, you know?
I don't even, I will just say this. The level of brokenness, you said broken, and most times when we say broken, we think it's in a negative sense. But I say broken, and I mean like Psalms 51 says, the sacrifices of God are a broken spirit and a contrite heart. Those God will not despise. Brokenness is we always say brokenness is the prerequisite really for God to use you. And so I don't look at brokenness as a negative thing. And so Tracy and I had to come to a place of brokenness even to receive that miracle that we did. Okay. Because a lot of times it's like God can't put certain things in your hands because everything is so tightly, you just got a tight hold on everything, a tight hold on your will, a tight hold on your faith, and so as soon as we did like that and just open our hands, and not even all the way, just a little bit, just so we could, and then here we are in this broken space, like, okay, we surrender, God. Look, we don't know what else to do. We don't want to adopt. You told us we would have a child. Here we are, and we made ourselves vulnerable by asking for the prayers like you talked about, and people laying hands on us, and again, but when we came to the point of brokenness, and I feel like we met the prerequisite for God to really reside and get in there and work, and we kind of relinquished it in a way. It's like you let things die so God can resurrect them. That's what we did. And we got that miracle. But then like I said, I had to take a little break because I was like, okay, now you done prayed for the miracle. Now I got to be responsible with it.
But I mean, what you just did was you gave us with Get Ready, and with that line in the song that you just gave us, you basically took what happened 6 years ago and you just released that into our lives.
Thank you, Jesus.
Because you said that we have to release it. You just talked about you and your wife having to release.
Yes.
You could receive your miracle.
Yes.
So you're telling us to release whatever it is that we're expecting God for, the miracle, the healing, restoration, the jobs, because a lot of people have lost jobs, release the need to hold on, release the need to fix it, release the need to do it on your own, so that
absolutely.
God
Absolutely. As you said, that's my favorite line of the song, release your faith. There is and here's the other thing. I say release, and I want to say the word exercise too. Tracy and I have been exercising our faith for years. Again, we're coming on 30 years married here pretty soon. And we've been exercising our faith. Anybody knows that if you go to the gym, if you ain't been exercising, then you're going to be in a lot of pain when you leave. It's hard for you to execute any of those repetitions or whatever you call yourself doing if you haven't been exercising regularly. And so, but then after, like, it's like you can't even live your life unless you do go do it, because then you've gotten so accustomed to it. So by now we're accustomed to God moving the way he does. And we're accustomed to trusting him the way we do, especially after 20 years of, I didn't say 20 days, and I didn't even say 5 years, 20 years barren with no children.
Wow.
And then 45 years old. And you think we're going to have the faith to receive a baby, like without having like in vitro or all the, you know what I'm saying? So here we are, we received this miracle in real time after 20 years. Now we've had other things happen in our life that have strengthened our faith and that we exercise our faith through. But let me tell you, that was a big one.
But go ahead.
No. So that was a big one. So I'm saying we were able to receive that. So then now, it kind of is a little bit second nature for us to, like, if we, like, for instance, during the pandemic, there's, finances get really light because there's not a lot of activity going on. I mean, especially for artists like me, you don't get invitations or there's nobody's doing anything, you know? So we have to trust and believe God even through this season of lack, as somebody might say. But again, it's become a little bit easier to extend our faith because we know without shadow of doubt
Yeah.
that God has already accomplished on our behalf everything we need. Everything we need has already been provided. Everything you need has already been provided.
Yeah.
Everything the people listening need, everything you need is our God's future is our past. So where we're going, He's already been, He's already seen to it.
Yeah.
So, all right, I don't mean to go there, but
Oh,
you
that's good. No, that's good. That's why
get
we
me
can get ready.
excited.
That's why we can get ready. That's why we
Yes,
can get ready.
absolutely.
If he's been there
Woo!
already, I want to be there. So I'm getting ready to go where he's been.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's good, brother.
Darwin Hobbs, you stirred up. You stirred it up. You stirred it up. You stirred up the waters. I'm
Woo!
excited. I'm excited. Set list coming later this year. The
Yes.
brand new single that's out now. Get ready. I'm loving it. I will encourage everyone. I know that we're in a season where people are streaming music, and that's wonderful. And
Yes.
I want you to stream it more and more and more. But you know what? There's also an investment that we can make in
Thank you.
going on and purchasing that music, downloading it. I've
Yes.
done something where if I know somebody that's going through or somebody that need a word or somebody that need a message, a lot of times we try to lean in and give scriptures and all that kind of stuff. And that can get a little questionable
Mm-hmm.
how they receive it or how they perceive it. But you know
Yes.
what? I will take a song and I will gift the song through iTunes or wherever you purchase
Yes.
music and just say and send it to them via email and let it bless them at 2 o'clock in the morning, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, at 7 o'clock when they're on their way home and things are on them, they can turn on that song and get
Yes.
strength and get a release or get a word or remind themselves of the message. They might be entertained by the music first, but if it's word-based music, it'll strengthen their heart and get down in their spirit.
Absolutely.
And that's what
Absolutely.
Get Ready can do and will do if you purchase it. I encourage you to gift it. I encourage you to send somebody the link so that they can hear it. I encourage you to tell your minister of music, your praise and worship leader,
Thank you,
about it.
Jesus.
Send them the link as well. We have to be the incubator to make sure that the music gets to the people that need it. And it's not just up to radio. It's not just up to, the praise and worship leaders, but it's whoever it connect to.
Yes.
Send it to
Man.
someone else. So Darwin Hobbs, the music is available everywhere you can stream, everywhere you can purchase
Yes.
music digitally. If anybody wanted to connect with you, if anything that you said today blessed them, if anything that you've done in your music ministry has blessed them, how can they connect with you? How could they stay connected and receive from you?
I'm on Instagram all the time,
Yeah.
probably. Facebook and Twitter. It's at Darwin Hobbs at all of those. And I got a new website, which I'm kind of softly launched, but then we're gonna do a lot of other things on the website because I love to write, not songs, but I love to like literary writing, So I'm gonna do some blogging and stuff
Oh,
like that. But through the website, darwinhobbsmusic.com. I finally have a YouTube page, which is at Darwin Hobbs. And let me see. Now, let me just also give a little disclaimer.
okay.
I live a very, I would say, committed and balanced life. I love to laugh. And so if y'all don't come on my page thinking I'm just going to speak in tongues and sing.
No,
I don't.
no, no,
I
no.
like to talk about current events. I
Yes,
love to laugh because I feel like we need more of that in life, period.
absolutely.
Especially during this dispensation of time we live in. It's crazy. So we need to laugh and figure out ways to just find humor in a lot of things. So I love to do that on my social media. You're gonna see my chocolate Bethany, my little baby, and
Yeah.
my wife, and
Yes.
just if you follow me, just be prepared that the full gamut of who I am is present there. I like to have fun and we
Yes.
like to cry and we like to, get in there and get serious too. So
Mhm.
all of that. So at Darwin Hobbs, I'm always there. And it's me doing it. It ain't nobody on my team. It's me. So if you inbox me, you're talking to me. It ain't nobody else.
Cool, cool. Darwin Hobbs, thank you so much. We appreciate you. Um,
Thanks.
thank you for this music. Thank you for 10 years in the making, bringing us something that God, birthed in your life, literally. Because I believe that Bethany helped push this along. And
Yes.
I'm grateful that you decided to share it with us.
Thank you, bro. Wow. I mean, I, I'm just remaining in a point of composure because you said some things today that have just blessed my socks off. And I want to just thank you for your obedience in speaking what you said, especially the last thing you just said, because I believe that obtaining the miracle of Bethany had a lot to do with my readiness and my sense of focus to do what I'm doing right now. So very insightful, and I appreciate your obedience, prophet, man of God. So I mean, woo!
Thank you for this moment. Thanks for stirring up the gift. I appreciate you.
Thank
Absolutely.
you, Jesus, man. I appreciate you so much too.
Ladies and gentlemen, Darwin Hobbs.